Welcome to the April the 16th, 1991 taping of It Happened in Grand Prairie, as we bring you the history of Grand Prairie and some of the happenings of today of those that have helped make history in Grand Prairie, Texas. We're bringing you this history tape number 144. This is our 144th taping, and we're so delighted to welcome a very esteemed couple, a very special couple to Grand Prairie, Texas, Dr. Wayne and Mrs. Carolyn Odom. And we're just so delighted to welcome both of you all to the show today.
Thank you.
Great, great. And being an illustrious minister at the First United Methodist Church and taking undue timely leave of Grand Prairie and going off into the far reaches of Colorado, we felt real moved to include you and your beautiful wife Carolyn in this history presentation, and we just know that our viewing audience is going to be excited to know about the contribution that you two have made to our city while you've been here. And Dr. Odom, we're going to begin with you, with your permission. And if you'd look right out into your camera and give us your genealogy. Tell us about your parents and where they lived. Give us their full names and any mention that you'd like to give of your brothers and sisters or whatever of your family.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you. I'm very glad to be here and to talk with you about this. And my ancestry comes from East Texas in Cherokee County. And as you know, I'm pastor of First United Methodist Church. Well, there's a story that the family genealogy people come up with about members of my family coming into East Texas in the 1840s. And they settled in Cherokee County, and one was a Methodist minister. And so I feel like that in some sense that heritage has been there a long time.
Yes.
But my mother was Allie Mae Acker, and the Acker family also is in East Texas today, and in that area, and a number of Odoms are still around in Cherokee County. But of course I left a number of years ago and am now very much a part of Dallas. We've lived here a number of years.
All right, give us your father's full name.
His name is Carlton Odom.
All right, and Carlton Odom and his wonderful wife Allie, when they married, where did they settle in East Texas?
Well, first of all, they were in Alto, Texas, where he ran the Ford Motor Company.
All right.
But then he moved to Jacksonville, and he was the Gulf Oil consignee in Jacksonville.
All right.
And my mother didn't work in terms of employment, but raised the children.
All right. And where was Dr. Wayne Odom born?
Well, I was actually born in Dallas, Texas, but that was only a matter of convenience. That my mother needed to find special help and was at Medical Arts Center in Dallas. But immediately we went back to Jacksonville, I had been told.
Jacksonville, Texas was your real home port when you were born.
Yes.
All right. And Dr. Odom then, in growing up, did he grow up in Jacksonville and go to those schools, or where did you go to school?
Well, I went to school in Jacksonville, graduated from Jacksonville High School, and then also in Jacksonville, Lon Morris College, a Methodist college in Jacksonville, 2 years. And then the University of Texas, graduated there. And then Perkins School of Theology at SMU, and then later Edinburgh, Scotland for a year of graduate study.
All right, now in Jacksonville, let's get back to Jacksonville. That's Texas, and we're so excited about Texas. You know that we're celebrating San Jacinto Day the 21st of this month, so we're really into Texas in March and April because that's the birth dates of Texas. Now tell me about your schooling. When you were in elementary school and on into high school, did you have any favorite teachers, any mentors that really did encourage you in any special way that you'd like to recall?
That's an interesting question in the light of that one of my favorite teachers, Martha Strother, who is living at Blanton Gardens in Dallas. I'm going to be with them, a group of people, Sunday after church. We're going to eat together. And Martha Strother was one of my teachers at East Side School in Jacksonville and was also principal during the war.
And she encouraged Wayne.
Oh, yes.
Yes. All right. Now, when you were growing up as a young man going to Jacksonville to school, did you have any outside jobs, or did you just study and et cetera?
No, my first job was with the Jacksonville Daily Progress, delivering the newspaper.
Oh, wonderful.
On a bicycle, also walking. I think the downtown route I had once. And then I worked in the bank. I was to be a banker. My family, the Ackers, were involved in a bank in Jacksonville, and that was a very interesting career possibility for me because I liked banking and I enjoyed it while I was working there.
All right, that's good. All right, we're going to get back to you in a few minutes. Let's take Carolyn now. Carolyn, look out and let's tell us about your genealogy, your parents, and if you had any brothers and sisters that you'd like to name drop, and especially if any of them are living and where they are or whatever, give us your history.
All right. I grew up in a parsonage, Methodist parsonage. My father was Edwin Parker, and he was born in Cienfuegos, Cuba, to a Methodist missionary family. My mother was Mildred Wallace, and I spent most of my growing up years in Oklahoma. I came to Dallas to SMU to college, and that's where I met Wayne Odom.
Okay, all right, now let's don't get to Wayne Odom so quickly here. Let's go all the way back to Oklahoma and find out where Carolyn was really born.
I was actually born in El Paso, Texas. My parents were living in New Mexico at the time.
Yes.
And El Paso was the closest hospital.
And being a minister, he traveled quite a good deal, and you all
Yes.
moved from pillar to post, as my grandmother would say.
Right. We lived all over Oklahoma, and then in the last 7 years I was fortunate enough to be able to complete high school in one place, Ponca City, Oklahoma.
Ponca City, Oklahoma. But prior to that, did you go to different elementary schools over the world?
Well, if Oklahoma's the world, yes.
That's it.
Clinton and Oklahoma City. Goodwill,
All
Oklahoma.
right. And did you have any brothers or sisters?
I have one brother who is a lawyer and is now vice president of Broken Hill Proprietary, which is an Australian company. And he is in Houston.
And he's in Houston. All right, now in going to school in Oklahoma, did you have favorite teachers, mentors, someone that really encouraged Carolyn? And I'd like to get to the high school part. There must have been someone that encouraged you to come to SMU. I'd like for you to kind of trace a little bit of that for us, would you, Carolyn?
That I had an excellent government teacher by the name of Floyd Fote, but my favorite teacher was a lady who taught English literature.
Yes.
And Catherine Bingham, and she has remained a mentor without me even realizing it.
I see.
And SMU was just one place where it was different from the University of Oklahoma, or OSU at that time.
Yes.
And I wanted to go out of state to school, and then 2 weeks after I graduated, my parents moved to Odessa, Texas, and
They were
I
in
wasn't
state.
going out of state at all. Right.
Oh, that's great. All right, now, all of this tenure at SMU, how did you manage to meet Dr. Wayne Odom?
I lived in a place called Peyton Hall, and we had suites. There were 4 of us in a suite, and one of my suite mates happened to be from Jacksonville, Texas. And in September she said, "Friends, I promised Aunt Allie Mae that I will arrange at least 3 dates for my cousin when he gets up here to Perkins, and you are the 3 dates."
I see.
So my first date was a blind date arranged by his cousin.
How wonderful.
And-
yes.
And we're still friends. I still like his cousin.
You still like his. Oh, that is so exceptional. All right, and during the time that he was in Perkins School at SMU, did you continue on your education, or what did Carolyn do?
I finished my BA
All
at
right.
SMU
In what field?
in major in history, minor in philosophy.
Yes.
And I graduated, and we were married 3 months later.
All right.
Then went to Edinburgh with him.
All right. And went to Edinburgh. Okay, now let's get you back. What brought you to Perkins? What got you out of the banking business into this Perkins School and all of that? Who was your motivator?
I would think the example of certain ministers as I was growing up.
I see.
And the idea that that was a very powerful model for a way to live your life was certainly there. And then I was involved in youth work a lot, in Methodist youth work, and I'd go to conferences and so forth. And it was either a banker or a minister, and I had a struggle with that one for quite some time because both seemed very attractive to me. But eventually I decided to become a minister on the basis that I felt that this was the best that I could do in terms of God's calling. And I'm very happy that I did that.
Did you have any brothers or sisters?
Oh, yes. I have a sister who is also married to a Methodist minister.
All right.
And he's in Houston.
And
They're in
give
Houston.
us their names.
His name is Gus Browning, and her name is Jacqueline Browning.
All right, all right. Any other brothers or sisters you'd like to name drop?
Oh, that's enough.
That's
all.
enough. That's all. That's the very end of. Okay. Now that we have you at Perkins, and you decided you would go there, and when you finished Perkins, then what? How about this call to Edinburgh?
Well, that was an opportunity made possible by Perkins School of Theology.
All right.
They had scholarships for further study, and this was meant to be for a teacher. And I knew I wanted to be a minister and expressed that, but still applied for that. I thought it would be a helpful thing to go to another seminary, and so I was given that scholarship to go to Edinburgh.
And that was a wonderful experience.
It certainly was.
All right, and while you were there, what did you do, Carolyn, in Edinburgh?
In Edinburgh, I worked with a young woman with cerebral palsy. I learned about going to the grocery store every day because you didn't have refrigeration.
I see.
I attended some classes with Wayne and learned how to ride a bicycle seriously.
Yes, that was fun. All right, what brought you back after your scholarship was finished? Then in Edinburgh, you came back to the United States?
Yes, I asked
To
for
what
we call an appointment at a church in in the state
All right.
called the Texas Conference in the Houston area. And I was sent to Groves, Texas, which is
Oh, yeah, that's not
suburb
far.
of Port Arthur.
Down near the coast.
We learned to experience lots of mosquitoes.
Yes.
And the time of the we didn't realize at the time, I guess, that the air was filled with a lot of the refinery smells and so forth. But we learned to love the people. It's a different environment with all the mosquitoes and floods that happen.
Down in Groves, Texas.
Yes, but great people.
Great
we
people.
enjoyed our first. I was there 4 years and started a new church.
All right. Now, tell us about your own personal family. Carolyn, we'll let you have that assignment.
Well, our son was born in Port Arthur.
All right, and give us his name.
His name is Carlton.
All right.
He lives in Dallas now and supports a writing habit. He would like to be a writer.
A writer.
someday.
Okay.
And our daughter Laura was born nearly 5 years later
Okay.
and came to us from the mission home in San Antonio,
How wonderful.
and she is now 27
She's 27 years old. Okay, that is
and
great.
also lives in the Dallas area.
Okay, so you have everyone nice and close where you can have Christmas dinners and Thanksgiving dinners and all the good things.
At the moment.
At the moment.
Yes.
At the moment. All right, now, after Groves, Texas, and during those times, did you work out of the home, Carolyn?
Until we moved back to Dallas, I went back to SMU and completed my master's degree
Okay.
and then became a school teacher in the Dallas Independent School District.
And you worked for the Dallas ISD for how many years?
16 years.
16 years, and what campus?
At the Alternative Center, Metropolitan East to begin with, and then when the magnet schools were open,
Okay.
I went into the Health Professions High School on Ross Avenue and was there until we moved to Grand Prairie.
Okay. That just sounds exciting. All right, now after Groves, trace just a little bit of your sojourn in the ministry. Where'd you go next?
I went to Woodville.
All right.
In East Texas.
Yes, all right.
We were there 5 years and had
Okay.
a great experience in Woodville.
All right.
And then to Tyler.
All right.
And after Tyler, went to Teague. And that's when I was invited by Bob Goodrich to come to Dallas to be with him on the staff at First Methodist Dallas.
Yes.
So that in our Methodist system, that meant changing conferences.
Yes, it
which
did.
just really not too difficult, but I came to a new conference when I moved to Dallas, and I've been here ever since.
And you'd established all those friendships in the other conference and had it under control, and now you go
Right,
into a
start
new
over.
field.
But it
Start
turned out
over.
well.
Yes,
we
it
made
did.
new friends.
All right, and coming into Dallas to that conference, then where did you go from there?
I went to Mesquite,
right.
St. Mark's Mesquite for 9 years.
Yes.
And then Oak Lawn United Methodist, which is the downtown church
Yes,
in Dallas.
yes.
And then Grand Prairie.
Then into Grand Prairie, Texas. What year did you come to Grand Prairie, Texas, and were you excited about coming into this area?
I certainly was. 1987.
1987 through 1990 and a half.
Well,
Yeah. Or 91, a half of the
91,
first half
yeah,
of
4
91.
years. We've been here 4 years.
Okay. And Carolyn, while he was doing all of these sojourns, when did you decide to work out of the home? Because I know that recently you have been with Children First, and I'd like to know what brought you into that field and what you did just before that.
I spent a year volunteering and a little substitute teaching,
Yes.
and then I stepped in at Children First, I guess the second year we were here,
Uh-huh.
because I believed in what they were trying to do, and Barbara Grantham, who's the lead counselor, and Mary Neff, who was the play therapist at that time, said, we need a little continuity. Why don't you stick with this for a while? So I did.
All right, tell me a little bit about Children First, because those in the viewing audience that don't know it about its working as well as you and I do, you might let them know about Children First a little bit. And you have a brand new board. I noticed that in the paper the other day. You have a new board, and
Right.
you're leaving a new board to kind of flounder around without you. But let's hear about that.
No, it's in good condition.
All right.
Children First is a counseling center. Counseling is what we do. We deal primarily with abuse victims. Our clients are ages 2 through 76. We have worked with some grandparents who are raising their grandchildren from abusive situations.
Yes.
We are funded through HUD and United Way and community donations, and we want to keep our services especially available for low to moderate income families. Most of our referrals come through the Grand Prairie Independent School District, from Texas Department of Human Services and Child Protective Services. And we have had a tremendous amount of cooperation from the City Council, from the Community Development Block Grant people, Judge Gray, Happy Helping Hands. I shouldn't start naming names. I'll leave somebody out. This is a community effort,
It
which
really
makes
is.
it very exciting.
It really does. All right, now, the First United Methodist Church up on the corner of North Center and Church Street in downtown Grand Prairie, where my dad was the steward of the church, my mother sang in the choir, and all of this other good stuff. Tell us about the First United Methodist Church and some of those dear people like Irene Paxton that you're going to miss when you go to Colorado.
You are certainly right.
All right, tell us about retirement.
Well, I want to make it clear that the first part that you said is so right, that this is a great congregation and a great people, and I really have great regrets about saying goodbye. That was part of the struggle of the decision. I did
Yes.
not want to leave this community, this church, but when you make decisions, there are consequences connected with it, and it has to be. And so that has been set in motion, of course. But the church, I'm very pleased with what we have done in these 4 years, and I really have received some wonderful cooperation from people such as you just mentioned, and others, of course. And we've, but you want to tell about the decision of leaving. It had to do with years ago. Carolyn and I built a home in Colorado. There were 3 people who built the home, Carolyn and I, and a very accomplished person, our neighbor up in Colorado, and the 3 of us did that. So that was an exciting time, but the home enters into the discussion because we do have a place to go up there.
Yes, yes you do.
And I have always wanted to express my vocation through writing, and have done that some, although I have nothing to show for it. But I would like to do that, and I have in mind that we would enjoy the last part of our life in Colorado, and I will do some writing up there for Methodist Publications.
Well, I know that our Tuesday morning prayer breakfast, chaired by Ken and Helen Thorpe,
Yes.
Lester and Helen Ader, Bill and Betty Newberry, some of the other good Methodists that meet, and Mr. Jackson and I are allowed to meet with that group every Tuesday morning.
Yes.
We're going to miss your smiling face at our prayer breakfast and in this city, and we're just delighted to do a little short history interview with you all. And I'd like for Carolyn to look out into her camera and just tell us maybe about, we just have a very few minutes left, how you have enjoyed living in Grand Prairie and working with children first.
It's been a challenge. I've enjoyed living in Grand Prairie. Grand Prairie has given me so much more than I could share with other people. So it's been an important part of my growth, and I hope that I've left something good behind for others.
Now, all of this experience that you've garnered from Children First, what's going to happen to that when you go to Colorado? Are you going to volunteer, or are you truly retiring, Carolyn Odom?
I'm going to be careful about volunteering. But we'll see. There
Yes.
are different needs and different challenges wherever you go.
Well, now, we've heard the commitment that Dr. Odom has with himself, and that is to do some writing. Are you involved in writing and doing scripts and secretarial work and computer things for Dr. Odom to aid and abet him in all of this sojourn that he is undertaking?
You know, Ruthie, with both of us working, I'm afraid my main task is going to be how to learn to get along without Lubies.
Yes.
That'll mean cooking 3 meals a day.
Yes, yes. That's going to be a challenge, isn't
That
it?
will be my main responsibility for the first few months anyway.
Oh, that's great. Now, Dr. Odom, you have worked with some real important movers and shakers here in Grand Prairie at the First United Methodist Church, and one that comes to my mind that you have lost in the last couple of years is Dr. Collop.
Yes.
And Tiny Mae and Bill Baker, some of the things that you've seen come down the pike during your tenure here, and the Baker Chapel that has been built. We have a few more minutes. Why don't you talk a little bit about some of the exciting things that have happened to First United Methodist while you were here?
Yeah. Well, thank you, Ruthie. I do think that what you mentioned is a good place to start, that the dream of Baker Chapel comes from some dedicated lay people, the Bakers, who left their estate that a chapel might be built, and then Dr. Bill Collop and others who took up that dream and gave life to it, certainly invested their lives in bringing it about and made great contributions. Of course, he made contributions much more than that, but that's certainly one of the last things we all remember. And that chapel today is, we have many weddings there. Of course, we have funerals there. We have an early service there, and it's really appropriate for Sunday evening events because it looks like a real good crowd when we have a number of people in Baker Chapel, and in our larger sanctuary, not so. And so we have enjoyed Baker Chapel.
And along with this chapel, you were able to add some additional office area. How has that grabbed you?
Oh, very fine. We had a rather old office structure, and which was replaced by adding office space when we built the chapel. And so all of us who benefited by it enjoyed what it's meant for our church to have the new office.
Well, I know that many groups in Grand Prairie, Texas, many outreach groups, many philanthropic groups, are allowed to use your facilities. We've met so many times in the First United Methodist Church basement, and we've had spaghetti dinners for the Seroptimists. The Historical Commission has met there. The City Council of PTAs has held their School of Information there. You're always welcoming outside groups into the First United Methodist Church, and I think this is so commendable. Would you like to speak a little bit about your outreach programs there?
I don't know that I could speak for everyone. I know for myself that this invitation like that is a part of a concern that the Christian gospel be experienced through the whole community, and it's just part of saying that we would like to share and make good things possible in our community for people. and certainly learning how to read. If you're a person who's coming in as an immigrant, it would be a wonderful thing to contribute to. And so, yes, that's a very helpful part of our church's ministry, I believe.
Mr. Tommy Smeltzer comes to our Saturday morning prayer breakfast, and he's been beating the drum for a very special evangelistic outreach program that began last Sunday at your church. Would you like to get that on this history document so that 50 years from now people will know what happened in Grand Prairie on this very special last weekend and going through tonight, I believe?
I'm very happy to say that Bishop Montbryan, who has a great ability to speak very simply and yet very profoundly about life and the Christian gospel, is bringing our revival, and this is the concluding night. We've had good attendance from our people, some visitors, and we look forward to a great ending tonight.
That's great. In a half minute, Carolyn, could you put on tape how wonderful it's been to be the wife of a minister of the gospel? I know you could tell that.
Oh, in a half minute.
I know I can't give you a lot more time, but I'd like that on the end of the tape.
Well, I might change that a little bit. It has been a wonderful experience to be Wayne Odom's wife.
Yes.
And I'm excited about this new beginning together. Always you regret saying goodbye, but this is an exciting moment, I think, for us.
Good. And the magic town in Colorado, Dr. Odom, is?
South Fork.
South Fork.
Yes.
Oh, just like in
Just out of the television.
Oh, out of the television.
Not just like.
Well, I want to thank y'all very much for sharing your lives with us today. It's been just great having you on our history show. You're a very special couple, and we wish you Godspeed with the writing, going into a foreign land like Colorado. And we hope that you'll come back to Grand Prairie and be with us one of these days.
Thank you, Ruthie. We appreciate you doing this.
Thank you. And this is Ruthie Jackson reminding you that history is as we live and do.